If you're using these types of nets to catch crayfish in Victoria, then you need to stop immediately. Hey you! You're watching Robbie Fishing. G'day everyone. I sense a bit of confusion around the use of open top lift nets to catch crayfish. So in this video I'm going to level out that confusion so that we're all on the same page. Now, I'm in Victoria. This video is Victorian based. I'm not sure what the laws are in the other states. This is an open top lift net, sometimes called a pyramid net because it's a pyramid shape, and sometimes called an open top lift net because it's got an open top and you lift it to check it. Now let's take a few steps back. A few years back, I think it was 2019, but I could be wrong, opera house nets were banned in Victoria. Up until years ago they were legal everywhere. Then it was recognised that they were an absolute death trap for platypus and water rats, so they were restricted to private property only. You couldn't use them in any rivers or creeks, you could only use them in private property. But then so many people ignore that and still put them in the rivers and stuff anyway, and they were catching water rats and platypus, and there was photos turning up on social media of opera house nets with platypus and stuff in them, so they were completely outlawed in the state of Victoria. Then what they'd done, fisheries came up with a swap out program where you could swap your old opera house nets over with these open top lift nets. I think from memory it was 2019, and I think from memory it was three opera house nets for 3 of these, or was it 5? I can't remember, and it doesn't really matter. They had a program where for a period of time you could swap over your opera house nets and replace them with these open top lift nets, and that was great. The reason being, these don't trap turtles, these don't trap water rats, and they don't trap platypus. If one of them gets in, they can get back out. Whereas the opera house nets, they were trapped and they would drown. Now, after the big swap over, a problem soon emerged. These are a trap for crayfish. So yabbies will walk up the side and get in, and they get trapped. And when you check the net, the yabbies come out. And sometimes they can get out themselves if they're in there for long enough. Crayfish can't. A bit like the platypus and the water rats with the opera house nets, these are a death trap for crayfish because they get in there and then their spikes get stuck through all this mesh and they are trapped. So once one goes in, you're going to catch it. It's not going to get out. It's not like the drop nets where they can walk in and walk out whenever they want. With these, they're trapped in there. But the biggest problem of the lot, we've all gone crayfishing and lost our nets on snags when we're crayfishing. If you've got one of these and you throw it in the river and it gets snagged and you snap the cord, that then sits on the bottom baited. Crayfish walks in. Eventually the meat will rot away or get eaten away, but the crayfish will die, and that crayfish will act as bait for more crayfish, and they'll go in there and then they'll die. Then more crayfish will go into, and it'll just sit there and ghost fish. And it has the potential to do big damage to crayfish numbers in the rivers. So the law was introduced to ban these in crayfishing waters. At the moment, if you look at the Victorian Fisheries app, or it's called the Vic Fishing app, or the Victorian Fisheries website, you will see a list of waterways where you cannot use these, not just in the waterways, but in the rivers and their tributaries. You can't use them in the Ovens River and its tributaries, or the King River, or the Goulburn, or the Broken, or the Kiewa, because these rivers have all got crayfish in them. Therefore, these are banned in the rivers and the creeks that flow into them, and that's why they're banned, so that they don't catch crayfish, so that they don't ghost fish and catch crayfish in them like I just mentioned a moment ago. Now, it is important to mention, not only are these illegal to use when crayfishing, they're illegal to use in those catchments any time of the year. You can't put this in the Ovens River in Wangaratta, even if you are specifically targeting yabbies, you're still not allowed. You're not allowed to use them in those waterways at all any time of the year. I just wanted to clarify that rule because I have had a few people send me photos of crayfish that they've caught with these because they don't know. This rule kind of just snuck in under the radar a few years back. And recently my good friend Coley from up at Bathurst, he caught a crayfish on a yabby net, but it was a yabby drop net, and somebody told him that it was illegal, and the guy was nice about it, he wasn't being rude. But I think he was confused because yabby drop nets, the ones that I use in my yabbying videos, the similar sort of green mesh, they are perfectly legal to use for crayfishing in Victoria. Most of us choose not to because if you get snagged, they tear a lot easier than what the white ones do. But you certainly are allowed to use them. And for someone like Coley, who lives in Bathurst where there's no crayfish, he just threw one net in. It'd be silly for him to go and buy a cray net for the sake of one morning's crayfishing. So you certainly can use them. You can use drop nets. With the crayfish drop nets, there are size restrictions. They can't be over a certain diameter. I could be wrong, so make sure you check up, but I think it's either 70 or 77 centimetres. But as long as they're under that, all drop nets are fine. But just so you know, folks, hopefully I've saved you from getting yourself into trouble. These are not only a no-no to try and catch crayfish, but they're a no-no all year round in any crayfishing waters.